Ahsoka is the latest Star Wars that Disney Plus has to offer. The Disney Plus Star Wars shows have been quite a mixed bag for me. I really liked the first two seasons of Mando. I found Obi-Wan Kenobi to be quite disappointing, and I did not like Book of Boba Fett at all. I forgot to mention Andor. Probably the best thing Star Wars has ever done. I apologize to Tony Gilroy. That show is a masterpiece, and that is the best show on Disney Plus, and I am so sorry I forgot to mention it. Here we are with Ahsoka, and the reason why Ahsoka stands out is because it's the first Disney Plus show to really require context from other shows like Rebels or Clone Wars, two shows which I have not seen. So, me going into this experience, I knew basics about who characters were. I'm like, okay, so this person's that person from the poster that I saw. And then I know Ahsoka and Anakin's dynamic and what they went through basically. Seeing it in live action, I guess, might have been cool for anyone who watched those shows, but to me, it just came off as stale and manipulative, particularly since the show suffers from the Disney Plus look where everything's in the volume, it looks grayed out, doesn't look good, and none of it's really that believable. I mean, there are moments where maybe the show does do a couple of I don't even want to say original, but it branches off and maybe tries to do a couple of new things that we haven't seen before, but each attempt of it just feels stale and hollow. Whenever we just go for these big grand emotion, it hinges on past things. And to me, it just didn't resonate whatsoever. And it most likely is because I hadn't seen an ounce of those shows. But the shows should not hinder on whether you have seen those two animated shows or not. I cannot be the only one who just watches live action Star Wars. Like, I cannot be the. And so going into this show, just made me see all these scenes where I'm like, okay, I understand there's context and there's history that I'm not caught up on, but I should still not feel this stale, hollow, and lifeless as I'm watching. So I really feel like it just needed to be written better. And I understand that Dave Filoni, wrote these characters in animation, but I really feel like it just doesn't translate to live action because it's not animation. These grand Star Wars ideas that we're seeing in this low budget Disney Plus show, and I know it's not technically low budget. I know this is probably one of the most expensive shows ever made, but when you're looking at it, it doesn't feel like quality content. It doesn't feel like what I wanted Disney Plus to be. When Disney Plus came out, we all expected grand shows at big budget, but at a at home level. Now that Disney Plus is here, we unfortunately are stuck with corporate schlock. I don't want to say that this show is corporate schlock because I didn't think it's 100% terrible. There is a good episode or two in this 8 episode show, but beyond that, it just went by as hollow for me, and I was honestly pretty bored watching. But at the same time, I understand there's context that I don't know about. So that's where I'm kind of drawn into like how bad is this show? To me, I just thought as a show, it was pretty mediocre. And under Disney Plus standards, it's as mediocre as it gets. Particularly since like Loki season 2 is out right now and I'm loving that. And it just goes to show that I just feel like Star Wars right now just needs to veer away from Disney Plus, get a good original filmmaker and go with that and not run away from them like we had with Ryan Johnson. We had a good thing and then we let the fans just ruin it. I know this come out as quite a rant, and I know there's things I didn't talk about, and I know I'm probably coming off as a lot more negative. I'm just probably more so over it, if anything. And I know people are calling it the Filoniverse. I just don't know if I'm going to continue watching any of this. I'll watch the next season of Mando. I'll watch Mando as long as it goes, unless if it really falls off. I just feel this disconnect. I don't want to watch Clone Wars. I'll be completely honest. I feel like my biggest problem with the show is just encapsulated in the final shot of this entire show. It's just like the most. It shows what I don't like about this show. I will say there's an episode that I will say it's probably one of the better episodes of the show, but it hinges on flashbacks that probably aren't all that necessary. It's one of those episodes you can cut it and it isn't that much different. It has cool visuals and maybe cool fan service, but it's like why? But for fan service's sake. And we just have a lot of these things that just feel so Disney Plus to me, just it's eye rolling. The story and I'm not necessarily invested in. We spend most of the show looking for a character I don't know anything about, and that's because I hadn't seen another show. This show is great for Rebels fans, I guess. As a show itself, I don't think it holds well on its own, and I think it's manipulative and visually and filmmaking wise, it's not really impressive either. There's so many times where I just thought it looked so grayed out. I was like, can't you just color grade it to make it a little bit better? Or can you just move the camera to somewhere more interesting? Just many times where it just felt bland Disney Plus like to me. I'm gonna give Ahsoka a 5.3 out of 10. There's nothing egregious I can say about the show, but there's nothing particularly great I can say about it either. So yeah, and like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna keep on going through these Star Wars shows where I need to see other 25,000 seasons to understand the context. So yeah, comment down below what you guys thought of Ahsoka. I know I'm coming off as much more harsh than I need to. At the end of the day, it is eh. So yeah, comment down below what you guys thought. Like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that. And adios.